The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Mauricio Macri, President of the Argentine Republic. I request the protocol to escort His Excellency. On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Mauricio Macri, President of the Argentine Republic, and to invite him to address the Assembly.
Gracias. Señor Secretario.
Secretary General, President, Your Excellencies, delegates, I should like to congratulate the President for her election at the helm of our debates. I am sure that her work will attest to the relevance of women's leadership. It is an honour to return to this Assembly to share with you a vision of the situation in Argentina and to ratify our commitment to an Argentina which is a protagonist and which is integrated into the world. Our country is going through a period of deep change. We are determined to do this with humility by accepting the difficulties and with a commitment to expending the necessary effort. I know that the efforts are great, and I should like to thank each and every Argentinian for this. We knew it would not be easy because we are changing without taking shortcuts and without compromising the future. We are building consensus for equitable and sustainable development. 2 years ago, I shared here for the first time my view of Argentina as a trustworthy partner of the international community and a mediator in good faith in regional and international politics. I should like to renew this vision here today. Since I became president, we have promoted intelligent integration into the rest of the world based upon the value of our region, Latin America and the Caribbean. We are a zone of peace with young populations who are full of talent and vitality, with abundant resources and natural reserves. We are working towards greater integration between ourselves and, as a whole, with the rest of the world. This is evident in the willingness for dialogue and cooperation between the Mercosur and Pacific Alliance countries. We are seeking to make a positive impact on the 21st century world order. From the South, we have an optimistic standpoint which takes account of the opportunities and challenges of globalization. Intelligent integration is also our contribution in order to build a stable, inclusive, global region and order which uphold our values, those of peace, democracy and human rights. I would therefore like to take a moment to express once again our concern with regard to the human rights situation in Venezuela. Given the seriousness of this situation, Argentina will refer to the International Criminal Court the situation with regard to crimes against humanity committed by the Venezuelan dictatorship. I call upon Venezuela to acknowledge the humanitarian crisis and thus allow for the deployment of international cooperation in order to provide the sorely lacking healthcare and food needs for the displaced persons. We are part of a regional and broad response which is seeking to mitigate the difficulties faced by millions of Venezuelans after their exodus from their country. We are hosting and integrating them into our society. Argentina has already received 130,000 Venezuelans. President, for decades, we have been meeting here to safeguard international peace and security. However, we are living in a world which is not immune to serious threats, such as organized crime, cybercrime, and terrorism. These require cooperative responses if they are to be addressed. In recent years, with political will and greater cooperation between our partners in the region and in the world, we have managed to increase the quantity of drugs seized, to dismantle criminal drug trafficking networks, and to increase the arrests of national and international fugitives. We have also reduced the drugs-related homicides throughout our country. In this regard, we are continuing to seek the necessary consensus to set up a complementary court at a regional level so that we can combat organized crime together. Argentina condemns terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We suffered directly from terrorism with two very serious attacks in 1992 and 1994. These cost the lives of 107 people, and there were hundreds of injured. Our country will not waver from its goal of bringing all those involved in these attacks to Argentinian courts so that they can be tried and ultimately sentenced. In this regard, and given that next year will be the 25th anniversary of the attack on the AMIA in Argentina, I should like once again to ask the Islamic Republic of Iran to cooperate with the Argentinian judicial authorities so as to advance the investigations into the most brutal terror attack we have suffered on our territory. We call upon countries friendly to Argentina and request that they assist us by avoiding hosting or sheltering with diplomatic immunity any of those accused, for whom international arrest warrants and Interpol red notices have been issued. In this regard, I should like to remember the 5 Argentinians who were killed on the 31st of October 2017 in this city. My heart is with the families of those victims and of victims of terrorist barbarism across the world. President, Argentina maintains a strategic vision of the South Atlantic, where we seek to peacefully develop an active policy in terms of resources, the environment, and science. This includes the Malvinas question. In this assembly, I should like to reaffirm once again the legitimate and non-time-barred sovereign rights of Argentina over the Malvinas Islands, the South Georgia Islands and South Sandwich Islands and their surrounding maritime areas. I should also like to reaffirm my government's commitment to this new phase of our relations with the United Kingdom, based upon building mutual trust and a broad, positive dialogue. President, Argentina is a country with a democratic and multilateral identity. Multilateralism is fundamental in order to lay out our national interests and to seek consensus. We maintain our firm commitment to the Paris Agreement and to Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development, which we have established as pillars of our government's policy in the field of poverty eradication, climate change, and gender equality. Argentina has been demonstrating its willingness to contribute to strengthening global governance. Last year, we hosted the WTO Ministerial Conference, where it was made very clear that there is a future after the meeting in Buenos Aires. In 2019, we will host the high-level conference on South-South cooperation. And we will be preparing in 2020 to preside over the NPT review conference, thus reaffirming our historic commitment to non-proliferation and nuclear disarmament. This year, we are holding the presidency of the G20 with a spirit of unity and constantly seeking consensus. The results being achieved give reason for enthusiasm. In all the working groups and in every ministerial meeting, a spirit of collective compromise is prevailing, as during the meeting of trade ministers, where a will was expressed to revitalize the multilateral trade system. On the 30th of November in Buenos Aires, the first summit of G20 leaders in South America will be held. With the support of our partners, the G20 will be able to demonstrate once again its validity and its relevance. The international community is facing challenges which require effective, efficient commitment. They require solutions which are reached through dialogue and consensus building. The theme of this assembly underscores leadership and shared responsibility in order to achieve peaceful, equitable, and sustainable societies. The Argentinian people are committed to achieving this and doing our part to make these societies a reality. I thank you very much for listening and wish you all the very best. Thank you.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Argentine Republic for the statement just made. May I request representatives to remain seated while we greet the head of state.